During the 14th century, a disease swifted across Europe, a disease that's left its mark in history, a disease that's claimed more than 25 million lives of people. The Black Death.
The bubonic plague began in Mongolia and traveled to several places like Europe, England, Wales, Scandinavia, Russia, parts of Scotland, and to the Middle East along the coast of the Mediterranean and Egypt. The cities that were affected were Constantinople, Alexandria, Venice, Cairo, and Crimi, Sicily. Rats made the disease spread quickly because fleas traveled on rats, which were the carriers. Once the rats died, the fleas looked for new hosts to live on, which were humans. Flagellants were people who whipped themselves hoping that God would forgive their sins so that they may be spared of the plague. The wounds that were created by the whips easily became infected, which helped spread the plague. During the time, people avoided the plague by closing their windows and bathing. It was a bad idea to bathe because people would bathe in the same bath water, which resulted in people who bathed after infected people getting infected. Doctors recommended people to exercise, leave their windows closed, bathe daily, and stay in closed areas, which made things worse. Eventually, doctors turned to the method of bleeding victims out, which involved cutting a victim open and bleeding him or her out because they believed that when someone was sick, that person had bad blood. They also used leeches to suck the blood out of victims.
Bacteria are microscopic organisms whose single cells have neither a membrane-bounded nucleus nor other membrane-bounded organelles like mitochondria and chloroplasts. These microorganisms reproduce by fission. Yersinia pestis is bacteria that can infect humans and other animals. This type of bacteria usually lives inside a host, but is also able to live on its own. Human Yersinia pestis infection takes three main forms: bubonic, septemic, and pneumonic plagues. The bubonic plague is usually a result from getting bitten by an infected flea. In the bubonic plague, the vectors are usually fleas and sometimes rodents. Vectors are the organisms that carries and transmits the disease. The fleas are usually found on rodents like rats and mice, and find other prey when their rodent hosts die. The host, the species that receives the disease from the vector, can be rodents, but more importantly, humans. Also, culture played a big role in aiding the spread of the disease. Community traditions causing the spread of the virus included touching the deceased during funerals and their diet consisting of rodents. More symptoms are heavily breathing, continuous blood vomiting, urination of blood, aching limbs, coughing, and extreme pain.
The Black Plague occurred during 1353 to 54 in 8 distinct areas throughout the Mongol and Chinese Empire, caused death of 2/3 of China's population. Physicians had no idea what caused the terrible illness and disease in China. Letting blood was conducted by cupping or leeches. This treatment was harmful because it killed the victim from loss of blood. There were no antibiotics during this time, and it was almost impossible to cure illnesses and diseases without them. Medicines in China were made from herbs, spices, and resins. The medicine was applied in drinks, washes, baths, rubs, and ointments. The disease spread throughout the Western world and reached pandemic proportions due to change in lifestyle. The formation of major cities and increased travel by various world civilizations helped the disease spread rapidly throughout Asia. The Black Death followed the trade routes. The trade routes provided access to all corners of the known world. It spread through people who didn't know they were infected by touching one another. The disease was able to spread.
About 20 people develop the bubonic plague in the United States each year. So over the last 25 years, about 500 people developed the bubonic plague. Treatments that doctors use are antibiotics. Animals play a role in the spread of this lethal disease. Infected fleas travel on animals, which becomes infected as well. When the animals die, the fleas look for new hosts, which are people. An early sign of an outbreak is a large amount of dead rodents. To avoid getting the plague, people should avoid going to places with large amounts of dead rodents. Another way to avoid getting the bubonic plague is to spray bug repellent on both skin and clothing, shower with hot water after going to the woods, and treat animals with fleas and ticks.
No one is certain about how this deadly disease started. Even today, the bubonic plague is still with us. Some questions why the bubonic plague was brought to mankind in the first place. Why? Why has the bubonic plague been set down on our doorsteps? And why must we be the ones to... why must we...
Alright, you want me to hold the microphone? The Black Plague occurred during... You heard that. Exactly, but that's why you made me laugh. Like, hold on. You gonna make me laugh. You're even gonna let me do this. Go. Alright. The Black Plague occurred during... Damn it. Johnny! I don't know, I can't do it. Alright. What's up, Vinay? Better not make me laugh, bro. Alright, I'm gonna start all over again.
Don't even look at it. Don't make it. I don't have to worry about it.